Hello, my name is Michelle Booysen. I'm from Baton Consultancy, based in Cape Town, South Africa. Thanks for your time and sharing a few thoughts with me. The topic that we're focusing on today is balancing change, finance and business growth with the global economy in mind, within the context of being in the noble profession of entrepreneurship. So what will we be talking about? Staying with the topic, I'd like to walk us through the items of change, finance, business growth, global economy. What does in mind mean? So what, with all of this information, what do I do with it? And then some tools for you to take along. The first point is all about change. So change is something that presses us out of our comfort zone. Yes, I know this is a lot of writing on one PowerPoint page, but bear with me. Change is destiny filtered, hard grown, faith built. Change is inequitable and not a respecter of persons. Change is for the better or for the worst, depending on where you view it. Change has an adjustment period which varies on the individual. It is uncomfortable, for changing from one state to the next upsets our control over outcomes. Change is needed when all the props and practices of the past no longer work. Change is not comforted by the statement, just hang in there, but with the statement, you can make it. We don't grow in retreat, but through endurance. Change isn't fixed by crying, worrying, or mental treadmilling. Change is won by victors and not victims. And that choice is ours. So, if that is what the animal change looks like, what is change management? It simply provides a competitive advantage. Remember that. Allowing organizations, read enterprises, to quickly and effectively implement change to meet market needs. Change management emphasizes the people side of change. When change management is done well, people generally feel engaged in the change process and work collectively towards a common objective, realizing benefits and delivering results. As I'm pretty much of a pictures person and words tend to get quite a bit to absorb, this is what I see change as. You're at a space and you need to move to a different space. And what happens along the way is change. So what happens along the way is the following. To your right you have your transformed organization, the new state that you're in. To get there, you've got to be pretty clear of where you want, what that looks like, and what is the stuff that you're about. What is your corporate culture or your values? How do I get from a current state to a future? Strategy delivery roadmap is a key element. It shows you the different things that you need to do to get to the new state. As part of that, you've got to have your change management agenda. So why do we do these things? It's because our businesses have a specific DNA. It comprises processes, technology, management systems, roles and skills, and a culture, which is a direct link to your values. But at the heart of our business is people. And this is where change management and that change management agenda speak to one another. If we look at change in a business, it is helpful to understand the different phases that a business or an enterprise and the entrepreneur goes through in the process of change. Our good colleagues in Canada, Venacell, designed this fantastic model called the entrepreneurial flight. We work with them on assisting our clients to understand where they are in the trajectory and what needs to be done for them to get to the further level. So very briefly, this being the entrepreneurial flight model, right at the bottom we start off with a small business. It's probably a 1 or a 2 person business. On this end we see what are the characteristics of the enterprise, and on that end we see the characteristics of the entrepreneur. So when you start out, you're a reactive business. As an entrepreneur, you're self-employed and you pretty much do everything. The next phase is the survival phase from an entrepreneurial point of view. And the foundational enterprise is the stage that the enterprise is in. Both these stages are quite close to one another, although the first one is probably referred to as a micro enterprise, and the second one is a micro plus a little bit of help. So you're not doing the work yourself anymore, you have your spouse, your child helping you with some of the work. This first phase is called the nascent phase, and I do it better myself. In that stage you pretty much feel you can do what needs to be done, and you're not ready to pass any of this on to somebody else. Within this stage, 95% of businesses remain. The next stage is called the developmental stage, and it comprises 3 distinct areas of growth. The change from here to there says I start having some processes in the business, but I'm still pretty much in charge of everything. So the entrepreneur often feels overwhelmed. Moving to the next phase is the productivity enterprise, and the entrepreneur feels a bit entrapped because this business is taking all my time. The next phase, some magic happens and the business starts making money without you knowing exactly where every cent comes from, and the entrepreneur moves into an enhanced state where you could start looking at having a weekend off again. You can start delegating. So in this phase, developmental phase, you move from a state of I do it better myself to I do it better with others. You start delegating and others support and manage on your behalf. It is estimated that only 4% of enterprises reach the stage from here to there. The final stage is the sustainability or the transfer stage. Moving from the monetary enterprise into the selection enterprise to the transferable enterprise. It simply means that the business is running by itself. It does not need you as an entrepreneur anymore. You have enough delegation, there's processes, there's systems, it's running by itself. And eventually you get to a point where you as the entrepreneur have expanded sufficiently, and eventually there you say, I'm done with this business. I'm probably going to sell it and start something new again. Now, us as entrepreneurs, we like doing the same thing over and over, so we go and find a new business and we start probably around about there again, moving up. As you might have surmised in looking at this entrepreneurial flight, you have to go through a whole bunch of change. The reason that I shared that pretty good model is it assists one to really position where you're at so that you know where you need to go to. And depending on where you're at, it then dictates what is the stuff you need to do to get to the next level. And the statement we make here is that change is relevant because it impacts the entrepreneur, the enterprise, and the environment. And each of these again impact change. So depending on where on that trajectory you are in the entrepreneurial flight, different changes will impact differently on the business. Let's move to the people side, and As change happens in the enterprise, change happens in the environment, so people need to change too. This is a really nice graphical view to understand what happens to people when they change, when change is ongoing, which is just about all the time. You could be in any one of those places, your staff could be, but it's good to know that it's natural. It's good for us to go through stages of managing and dealing with change. We often use this to measure teams on projects to see who is where, and that in itself then could assist you to say, if a person is saying, I'm at this stage, what could I assist or do to assist for a person to move to a better place? And it doesn't mean to say that you necessarily go through this route in this sequence. You might get there and then jump right there, or you might be here and then fall right back there. So it's a continuous movement of how we accept change. The second point, that being change, what is change and what is change management? The second point is, let's just quickly touch on finance. Finance, quite simply, is the money in and the money out of your enterprise. Money in equals investment and or funding, plus the effort of people doing stuff and getting paid for it. Essentially, we do that collective input of investment plus funding plus effort to generate revenue. And the cost of investment and funding and effort must at some point become less than revenue so that we can show a profit. So why is finance important? Quite simply, it ensures sustainability, growth, return on investment, and it helps us to make an impact. It impacts on who you employ, it impacts on how you grow, it impacts on where you sell, it impacts on how you personally deal with things, how your staff deal with stuff, all again impacting on change. I don't think I need to linger too long about finance and the importance of it. I reckon we all understand that being entrepreneurs. Third element in our topic today, business growth, is quite simply stated, taking a small seedling. Now that's I've never seen a tree unless it's a bonsai being held in a hand like that, but you get the point. It needs a lot of care, coming from that watering can or shower if you want, or hose pipe. Business growth is all about nurturing. Going back to the entrepreneurial flight model, every stage that we go through, it needs water and maybe some fertilizer, and the amount of water, the amount of and type of fertilizer differs for each stage that we're in. So business growth has two distinct elements in my opinion. The first one is we got to make money. So there's the commercial or the economics element of it. And in making money, that ensures that we are able to grow the seedling. A business is a tree with many branches, as we will see later on. However, it is important to see that the financial growth is what sustains the growth of the tree. Popping back to the business enterprise again, imagine you're in your flight and your business is this space rocket. So this really describes to me in a very concise manner what is a business about. Your rocket here, you've got your vision, which is where the pilot sits and drives this rocket to where it needs to go. Part of the body of this rocket is your strategy, your structure, and your culture. This rocket needs to be guided and supported through people and the financial results that you achieve. And then comes the powerful thrusters or engines, which is your sales and marketing, your products and services, and your systems and processes. Now imagine this rocket moving forward towards its destination. It runs in turbulent areas because it needs to take cognizance of its industry, the business environment, the customer environment. Then there's the shareholders too, which is quite likely represents you as well. Then there's the huge turbulence of technology, which can be good and provide extra thrust to your flight. There's government impact, and then there's the impact that competition brings you. So understanding that this is your business running in a world filled with all of these stuff, it's clear why we have to be mindful of change. Now, let's look at the global economy, which is, that's the map of the world, the 2014 version of it. But seriously speaking, as you know, a triangle represents a delta or a change. And what this shows is that the world is constantly changing. There we're sitting in a specific part of a continent, in this case Ghana, and we've got to deal in a changing world. So understanding the turbulent areas through which our rocket flies, we also need to look at, if we look at the balanced scorecard model, this is a different view of looking how the world impacts on us. There's, for every bit of business we do, in every part of the world, even if it's local, we've got to make sure that we understand what are the rules of governance, what do we have to comply to, what is the ethics that we would like to support, and how do we manage our finance, remembering my previous referral to finance. There's the internal focus. What does my IT look like? Where's my office? How do I manage my administration? How do I do and deliver the product or the service that I'm putting out in the world? Very important then, who's the people that's helping me doing this? How do I recognize and reward my people? There's also the focus area of innovation and development. We know this stuff is changing all along. People and economies and customers constantly make sure that we have to innovate. And innovation means that our business needs to develop as well to stay on top of the world we're dealing with. Then there's the external focus. Who's our clients, our customers, the people that we're doing the stuff we're doing for. So that changes all along. Community and environment. What do the community see and say about us? What do we do for the environment? Are we green? Do we not waste paper? Do we not put stuff into the rivers, etc.? So again, tying back to the world that we live in and run our enterprises in is very complex, but it's not undoable to understand what it is that we need to do. This is quite important, that when you become aware as an entrepreneur, you focus your mind, you change, and you can change your team. And up to now, what we've been presenting is becoming aware. We've shared with you the things that we need to be aware of, and that is where the in-mind portion of our presentation ties everything together. Awareness, however, doesn't just happen. What you choose to think about is what your mind is looking for. It's your goals, your vision, etc. Pre-program yourself and your team. If not, you're on autopilot. You have to change your own perspective before you can change your business. You, as the entrepreneur, lead the enterprise. Remember our entrepreneurial flight. From self-employment to survival to overwhelm to business interact to enhance to expanded to fulfilled. This is the road we travel. So what? How do I manage change as a business? I'm simply going to share with you what's my dictum, how I do it. I'm clear about my destination. First thing. What is my destination? The fruits of the tree that I'm growing. What do I want to see at the end of my rainbow? So I'm very clear about what I want to achieve. I have a roadmap that guides me. That's my results I want to see. This is where I'm heading towards. I know where I am on my entrepreneurial flight. And for me to move from the one area to the next, I have got strategic goals that propels and gives traction to my bus that'll get me to the end result. Okay, I've changed from a rocket to a bus, but you can't do everything in a rocket. So, quite important then, as your bus travels up the road of getting to your vision, a key element, and probably the best description, is a big drop of oil to your gears. Your gears is your systems, your people, and your processes, and all of that. That drop of oil represents change management. So this is my business roadmap. I know where I'm going. What's my strategic drivers? What do I need to do in each year for me to get there? And what are the people I'm going to deploy, and what money am I going to need to get there? So the next thing I know is my peeps. I know who my people are. I know who I can trust, who I can rely on. I know who I need to engage with. I know who's going to give me a push forward, who's going to hoist me up. I also know who I should probably be a little bit careful of. And for this I use a stakeholder management grid. These people that I log in here or record in there are the ones that I need to move forward. These ones are going to assist me, but not on a day-to-day basis. And in each level, I decide who sits where and how to engage with them, so that by engaging with these people correctly, they would manage me through my change as I move to the different areas. I also am sure that my business processes are clear, repeatable, measured, and supported by my team. It's putting that system in place so that you don't have to be there all the time with everything. Our processes are very clear, step by step what needs to be done, who does it, who do you do it with, where's my risk areas, where do I generate information to measure my successes with, what systems do I use, what needs to change, and how do we communicate. And then finally, I choose change. I don't resist it. I choose change because it's comfortable to stay in the same pond, and it's hard to go to new areas. But whoa, when you're in that new area, you've got a pretty big bowl to do stuff in. And that for me is the important part of managing change, because it gives me an edge. If you recall right in the beginning, managing change gives you an edge. So this person, I probably need to Google who Seabolt was, but this person said, and this is so relevant, remember that you are traveling down the same lonely road every great businessman and woman has endured. The biggest benefit of your future success will be the mental toughness that you develop during the struggle. Managing change says you got to be pretty tough. So, apart from being tough, you could get some help, phone a friend, call a consultant, get a team that helps you, and we have 6 tools that you are very welcome to take along. They're based on our website. Our website is petonksea.com, or you could email me at michellepetonksea.com. When you go onto our website, simply click on the area that says library and help yourself. They're there. Just some more information about Petanque again. And if you do have questions, uncertainties, feel free to email me on michelle@petanque-c.com. And that's where we want to be. Hopefully, you would have gained some clarity about the topic. We know you'll get your results and that you'll achieve in whatever level of your entrepreneurial flight you are. Thank you for your time and wishing you abundant success.